All we like sheep have gone astray. We have turned everyone to his own way, and the Lord has laid on him the iniquity of us all. He was oppressed and he was afflicted, yet he opened not his mouth. Like a lamb that is led to the slaughter, and like a sheep that before its shearers is silent, so he opened not his mouth. This is a verse found in Isaiah, a prophet who wrote hundreds of years before Jesus came into the world. But it's pretty easy to see the parallel between what Isaiah is writing and the kind of death and sacrifice that Jesus made. And I really like the connection to sheep and to shepherds, though shepherds aren't specifically mentioned in this verse, but normally where there is sheep, there is a shepherd nearby, or there hopefully should be a good shepherd nearby. And the NET version of this verse says, all of us had wandered off like sheep. Each of us had strayed off on his own path, but the Lord caused the sin of us all to attack him. And I like this version because I think it really helps us understand what Jesus is doing in the crucifixion by letting himself be crucified. He is our good shepherd who takes care of the flock even to the end. And a good shepherd, when he's taking care of his sheep, if he sees a wild animal approaching his sheep, ready to kill one of the sheep or all of the sheep, what does a good shepherd do? He flings himself in the way, in the path of that wild beast, and he lets that beast take him rather than his sheep. And this version, I think, really captures that. But the Lord caused the sin of us all to attack him. If we think about our sin like a wild beast attacking us as sheep, if we can kind of take a step out of the abstract understanding of sin and think about, wow, if we really understood that our sin is like a beast and it has the same effect on our lives as a wild animal that is attacking a flock of sheep, it really helps us stop and realize the gravity of the situation of sin, as well as the gravity of the kind of death that Jesus endured for us. Sin destroys us like a beast killing off a whole flock of sheep. It does that to our lives in inner and outer ways. And so by going to the cross, Jesus is putting himself in that path and letting our sin attack him so that we don't have to bear the brunt of that, so that we can be free. And we know that there is a better ending coming. We know that Jesus will eventually conquer that beast. He will be a victorious good shepherd and he will rise again on Sunday. But today on Good Friday, Sunday hasn't come yet. And right now, Jesus is in the midst of being torn apart by that wild animal that is our sin. And so let's stop and ponder that and reflect on that and allow our reflection to lead to worship and thanksgiving for a God who was willing to throw himself in the path of danger, the good shepherd who laid down his life for his sheep, for us, and endured one of the most, if not the most painful way to die that the world has ever seen. Crucifixion wasn't just an efficient way for the Romans to execute prisoners or slaves or robbers or criminals. It was created to elongate the death, to torture the person dying, and to cause them to slowly but surely suffocate to death while every part of their body is burning in pain. And that's how Jesus dies. Slow suffocation, hanging on a cross, with people mocking him and yelling, "Why don't you save yourself if you're really who you say you are?" It was not only a physical test, but also emotionally and spiritually. He had to choose humility, silence, submission He takes on the beast of sin and he kills it by letting himself be killed. Jesus died for us. He was crucified for us. And we hear that very often in church, and it's an important thing to hear, of course. But something else that he asked his disciples to do, which is maybe less talked about, is to pick up our crosses, to pick up their crosses, and to follow Jesus. So what does that mean? What does it mean to pick up our cross and follow Jesus, since he already paid the price, right? He died for us. So why do we need to pick up our crosses and follow Jesus? Well, I think today it looks like bringing our sins, the sins that are alive still and affecting us and those we love and creation, taking those sins to the cross as well, and thanking God that because Jesus went to the cross, because he paid the ultimate price, we now can daily bring our sins to Jesus and we can put them to death as well. And so today, I want to encourage you to write down something that is eating you up. We use that phrase a lot, right? Like, it's just eating me up. If you really think about that phrase, it kind of connects back to that beast imagery. Something is gnawing away at you. And that's because sin takes the form of this kind of beast-like monster that comes to steal from us and deceive us and destroy us. And so think about your own life right now. What is it that is eating away at you, that is causing you to feel ashamed and guilty and stuck, paralyzed? What is that thing that you wish you hadn't done, or you wish you hadn't said, or a way of thinking that you wish you could just get out of? What is it? And take a piece of paper and write it down. And then I think it's important, or at least helpful, to partake in rituals, even if they're really small, like writing it down and then burning it, or crumpling it up and throwing it away. Or for me, I'm actually going to nail it to a piece of wood. I don't have an actual cross. That's what we used to do when I was a kid. We had a cross and we would nail our sins to the cross, literally. So if you have a wooden cross laying around, then great. But if, like most families, you probably don't have that in your home, then, I'm just going to take a piece of wood and I'm going to nail my sins to this piece of wood to remember, as a way to help me connect to what Jesus did for me, and to remember that this is not just something that's happening in my mind and a nice poetic thing to talk about, but we really get to put our sins to death because of what Jesus did. We can be freed from them. We can move on, we can heal, we can grow, we can slay whatever pride or lust or selfishness or hatred or anger or jealousy is burning inside of us. We actually can do this because Jesus paid the price, because he did it for us and now invites us to pick up our cross, to follow him, and to go through our own spiritual death so that we can partake in the resurrection life that is coming on Sunday. It's not just that Jesus comes to life and we're like, oh yay, like we get to look at you and kind of clap and be in awe. We actually get to partake in that life. He gives it to us as well. And that's out of this world amazing. And so we're not to Sunday yet though. I need to calm down and not get too excited because this is still Good Friday. And so I encourage you to really do that, to take the time to write it down and then dispose of it however you want to. And as you do, I'm going to read a small portion from Mark's Gospel. They brought Jesus to the place called Golgotha, which means the place of the skull, and they crucified him. Dividing up his clothes, they cast lots to see what each would get. It was 9 a.m. when they crucified him. The written notice of the charge against him read, "The King of the Jews." And at 3 p.m, Jesus cried out in a loud voice, "Eloi, Eloi, lama sabachthani," which means, my God, why have you forsaken me?" With a loud cry, Jesus breathed his last. The curtain of the temple was torn in two from top to bottom, and when the centurion who stood there in front of Jesus saw how he died, he said, "Surely this man was the Son of God."
Christ has walked this path, the path that we are on. Angels walk with us, the path that we are on. Father, Son, and Spirit keep us in